How about we get back to, I guess, a little bit more silliness, huh?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So, I used to talk about stories like this on more of my secondary channel, but we've been inundated with so much news about chaos and calamity. I figured the get woke, go broke stuff would probably be more fun to have just like a chill hangout conversation and kind of make fun of this stuff. But for those that didn't see the story, this came out from Bounding Into Comics, August 14th. DC Comics publisher Jim Lee reveals 25% of company's publishing line wasn't breaking even, commits to diversity and inclusivity. Amazing. Huh. They've decided that they weren't working, so they would just roast it, burn it straight to the ground. Bounding Into Comics says DC Comics publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee recently discussed the recent layoffs at the company and the future of DC Comics. Speaking with the Hollywood Reporter, Lee stated, "This week has been a really heavy, difficult time, not just for me, but for the entire organization. We've said goodbye to people that have been huge contributors and who have helped define and make DC what it is today," he stated. And they got a bunch of comic pictures. He would specifically be asked if DC Comics is still publishing comics. Lee answered, "Absolutely 100%. It is still the cornerstone of everything that we do. The need for storytelling, updating mythology, it is vital to what we do." He then added, "The organization leans on us to share and establish the meaningful elements of the content that they need to use and incorporate on all of their adaptations. We think that about reaching global audiences, and we see comics as helping drive that awareness and that international brand. It's very much a part of our future." Then Lee shockingly revealed just how bad their lineup had been performing. He also detailed they would be reducing the lineup significantly. Lee stated, "That said, we will be reducing the size of the slate, but it's about looking at everything and looking at the bottom 20%, 25% of the line that wasn't breaking even or losing money." Lee would try and put an optimistic spin on the dismal state of the lineup. "It's about more punch for the pound, so to speak, and increasing margins of the books that we are doing." I think we're starting to see something really interesting here, especially when he gets into, so this is me, I'm not reading anymore, the diversity and inclusivity specifically. They're losing money, but I don't see I don't think this is a get woke, go broke. I think this is a get broke, go woke.
It's kind of backwards.
It's backwards, yeah. Right?
I think it could be.
Basically, different initiatives in other areas, blah, blah, blah. Let me get straight to the part where he talks about diversity and inclusivity. He says, he then noted, they plan to align the comics with franchise brand content. It's unclear what this means, and Lee doesn't really explain it. He states, "It was about aligning the books to the franchise brand we've developed and making sure that every book we put out for a reason." When asked about promoting Marie Javins and Michelle Wells to interim editors-in-chiefs, Lee committed the company to diversity and inclusivity. He told the Hollywood Reporter, "We thought it would be a great pairing to bring them together to help draft and organize the content we're doing along these lines. Across digital, across global, we want to make sure we have diversity and inclusivity and making it in a way that we have authenticity to the storytelling that we're doing. It's really about consolidating all of our efforts and having every editors involved in all these directives and also organizing, broadly speaking, in content that is for kids 6 to 11 and then 12 to 45. It's about consolidating format and oversight to a smaller, more concentrated editorial group," he elaborated. Okay, I don't care about the nitty gritty for the most part of like the comics, and their business function. But have you seen stories like the go broke kind of stuff?
Yeah, of course.
This to me, I think one thing that often gets overlooked, these companies are already failing. I think they're trying to get woke in a desperate attempt to sell more comics. Like, you've got a specific group of people who are reading your comics. They then start thinking, if we're only getting young men, how do we get young women of color? Diversity and inclusivity. Then they do this big launch. It doesn't work. Then they lose all their money,
Yeah, I mean, the idea that by narrowing the types, it's broadening the type of content, but it's also narrowing it a lot. I mean, you're when Crowder got remonetized, which was interesting, but I mean, the idea that there aren't there aren't advertisers who want to advertise on conservative content, right, is just ridiculous. I mean, so there's actually more money for being open to more content, more controversial content. You're limiting your company's revenue if you limit the amount of content that it's going to run over.
I don't think they see it though. I think they're sitting there saying we have a dwindling, sales in this one demographic. We need to reach another demographic. I remember, I worked when I worked for Fusion. I remember talking to them and I asked them, because of the content they were producing, are most of the people that watch and read these articles, are they women? And the marketing guy said no, it's evenly split. And I was like, evenly split among what? 10 people? Yeah, there was like nobody watching. And so you have these companies that are like, in order to reach more people, we need diversity. And then what ends up happening is they do reach an equal number of people of all different types, substantially less. All of a sudden now they're getting no clicks, they're getting no traffic. And,
it's just artificial. It's like inclusion is good, but inclusion for the sake of inclusion is just, it's like seeing a cheesy commercial with like one person from it. You can tell that it's contrived.
They're all like that.
No
now.
one is drawn to that because that's not authentic.
Isn't it weird? It's funny because there's like, there are these, I don't know what you call them, far right, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to explain who these people are, but there are conspiracy theorists who think that these commercials that have like mixed race families and stuff are conspiracies to, spread some agenda.
Right, that's
but
over the top. Yeah.
It's literally like Corn Pops saying, we want Latino families, black families, and white families to all buy Corn Pops. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Corn Pops did this. I'm just, referencing a random brand. So random brand, you'll see a commercial and it'll be a family of like 4 different ethnicities.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get these conspiracy theories online that they're trying to get woke.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell their product to everybody. And it's not culturally relevant to everybody.
It would probably be more effective to just run 4 different commercials so it's not so obvious and in your face.
Yeah.
Because, I can see that. I think that, like Jordan Peele's stance on, how he's casting his movies. Have you read about that much?
What, he doesn't want white men, right?
Yeah, he just, he's making a deliberate effort to do that, but he's not the casting isn't contrived. Like, okay, he's doing that. He should be able to do that. He can do whatever he wants. And he makes good movies. It's not one person of every race in just a shallow way.
I haven't seen any of his movies.
You haven't
Actually, maybe I've seen one. I don't know.
Get Out.
Nope, didn't see it.
No.
It's
I heard it was okay.
It's good.
The reason I didn't see it, I didn't see that other one, I can't remember, is because I told it was preaching. I told that I was like, look, man, I mean no disrespect to Jordan Peele, right? He's a funny guy. But I saw Birds of Prey, and it scarred me.
Well, to be fair, you also got a similar warning about Knives Out, which you then end up really liking.
That's
so
true.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Dude,
I saw.
Key and Peele is pure genius.
I loved Key and
Oh,
Peele.
of course.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
One of the best segments they did was when they're like, Key is playing this like very flamboyant gay guy, and Jordan is playing this like normal guy who keeps asking him, please tone it down, and he keeps getting called a homophobe, and then it ends with him saying, this is my boyfriend or whatever, and then Key's character realizes he's not a homophobe, he's just being kind of you know what I mean? That was like one of the best segments because it made a point about what does it really mean for someone to be gay? What are they supposed to act? What are the stereotypes? It was hilarious. It broke down the stereotypes while pointing out that, yeah, man, a lot of these people who claim to be anti-racist or whatever are actually just mean, bad people who do violent things.
Yeah, and they play other characters, other orientations all the time. Like, they don't go so far to say, oh, you have to be, gay to play a gay person. You have to be...
Oh, we're there, man.
Yeah, but Key and Peele don't buy into that. I don't think that they understand, I think, to a degree that acting is acting, and it's actually incredible to watch somebody who is not mentally to play that character. Like, Rain Man is necessary. We need that movie.
Yeah, but the issue I see with Jordan Peele is that he straight up says, I'm not going to cast white dudes. I'm like, dude, I get it if look, I get it. I really do. We had all the Marvel movies, the first thing that come out, it's like white dude. And now they're like, we want to do movies that can speak to other, audiences or whatever. Mm-hmm. I get it. I do. I think the issue is when it's like fake, like you were saying, it's forced. Because I'll preach, to no end how awesome Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is. I love that. I love that movie. It's a great movie. And it's diverse. It doesn't need to be a thing. That's why it's like when Peele comes out and he says it, I'm just like, I don't know, man. because I often see these movies that try to do it are really bad movies, like Ghostbusters and Birds of Prey. Just off the top of my head, those are the ones I can name. And I've seen other movies where they're like, we're going to be diverse, and then it's like you've sacrificed too much of your budget towards ideology instead of a good movie.
Yeah, and in that instance, they really bury the lead by talking about how diverse and inclusive they want to be. And I think that they've not done enough market research, because if they actually cared about their market, they would want to be coming up with interesting stories, for example, not just rerunning and doing sequels and trying to build on previous universes. They might actually pause and think, what would make a really great story? Because Tim can sit down and tell you like 8 different stories off the top of his head. I'm sure that they have people like that there who are just as creative and interesting. They're kind of being stifled. I think they feel like they're probably a little bit handicapped by having to put all of these barriers on who they can cast for certain things.
I just think it's stupid. I think it's dumb.
It is dumb, for sure.
Honestly, I think that context is... I think these companies are realizing they have to detect context. Like, that's why they remonetized Crowder. I think that they know where he's coming from, and that you can say certain words in a way that can be understood to not be offensive. And like, that's their biggest challenge, because it's a super difficult problem with the AI just running through all the language, pulsing in from audio, and trying to detect context and intention, because that's we cannot live in a world where we can't say certain words in a respectful context. It's just insane.
You can't. That's what I was saying. Like,
is the R word really? I slipped
totally,
hard. Ah, sorry, dude.
Oh yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
that's so crazy. I mean, I don't know what'll happen,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's the R word now, and that's where we're headed.
That's where we're at, man.
Yep. That's how insane everything is getting. Like, specifically with what they're doing with these comics, with these movies. Soon it's going to be like people wearing gray jumpsuits with shaved heads, and they're going to, or wearing hoods. You can't see their faces. Just weird big. Everyone will have like a big box they'll hide in, so you can't tell how tall they are, or what they sound like, or if they're a man or a woman. Because as soon as someone does, they get offended. It's not fair. There's privilege. They start banning everything already. So, you can't control what offends people. But what we're seeing with the shutting down of certain content specifically is that it's mass hysteria. And because the initial bias was towards the left, that's the direction it went. And look, man, I think it's happened historically with other countries in either direction, right, left, whatever, religious. Once regular people don't stand up, they're sitting back, and all of this starts happening, people get scared to actually push back once that tide gets reached. And I think the number I was reading is like 10%. Once about 10% of the people have an ideology, it takes over. And we're already past that with the far left. So now Coke, Pepsi, right? All these big brands, the biggest advertisers have fully embraced this stuff. The left is pumping out crazy conspiracy theories like the post boxes are being stolen. You've seen that? It's totally nonsensical. That's where we're at. And you can barely challenge any of it. So yeah, Crowder gets remonetized. Of course, the left exploded, screaming, "No, he's harassing me." Well, too bad. He won that one. Straight up, he won it. But they took income away from him for a long time.
Yeah.
He was out of the partner program.
Yeah, I mean, we got banned from the Play Store for like 9 months. And then I sent them a link of all of the porn on Twitter, and they were like, okay, you can
They
come
banned
back.
you for porn.
No, it was like a half-naked image, which had a explicit blur over it.
Wow.
And then I just emailed them, and they put it back. So it's just totally arbitrary and insane that they'll just destroy businesses like that.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.